Hi. Thanks for your interest in our approach to branding and messaging. My name is Douglas Spencer, and I am the founder, chief message builder, ringleader here at Spencer Brenneman. I'm going to walk you through our approach, our philosophy on branding, and the methodology we've created over the last 10 years to help bring strong brands and compelling messages to life. So, here we go. Here are the core elements of a strong brand message. First off, authenticity. It is so important that we present ourselves as authentically as possible because consumers of all types, B2B or B2C, they are on the lookout for people who are just saying whatever it takes to make a deal. So it is critical that we come across as authentic as possible. Next is emotion. We make decisions based on two factors: analytical factors and emotional factors. But here's the secret. Even in B2B decisions, emotion typically drives us. We use the analytical data to validate the emotional decisions we make. Next are needs and wants. And this is something that we don't think about enough. We think about needs, but what about the wants? For example, when you go to an accountant, you need them to do your taxes, to file your taxes, but you want confidence. You want to feel confident that you won't get audited, and if you do get audited, then they will be there by your side. And then next is differentiation. This is something that everyone understands, and sometimes they go right to that. But we believe you have to do some of the foundational work before you get to talk about differentiation, or before you get to articulate your differentiation. Let's dive in a little bit more. So, with authenticity, this is really your vision. What is it you want to see change in the world? Why do you care about the work you do, and why should anybody else? Next, we have the emotion. What is your brand's personality? Who are you in the world? How do you want to connect with your audience on an emotional level? Next are those needs and wants. Who in the world needs you? This is your audience. What do they need and what do they want to feel? And then finally, we have that differentiation. What is it you bring to the world? What do you do specifically? And because this one is so important, it gets to how do you do that in a way that is relevant and competitively differentiated from all the other options people have? Well, how do you identify those 5 elements of a key brand message? Well, we have a proven yet always evolving methodology, and it's pretty simple. There are 3 phases: A, B, and C. The first is ask. We ask a lot of questions. The next is build. We build a messaging framework that includes those 5 elements we just discussed. And the next is connect. We connect that messaging framework with your real world needs. Let's dive in a little bit deeper. For the ask phase, there are always one-on-one interviews. We ask questions to you, your colleagues, your clients, anybody who has a relevant opinion about how you show up in the world and what your audience needs and what your audience wants. Sometimes there'll be a worksheet involved. Sometimes there'll be a quantitative survey involved. We'll always look at your existing data, but we'll also do what's called a messaging audit. And this is where we look at your externally facing message and that of 5 competitors. We look at what everyone's saying, how they're saying it, and how that comes to life visually. So it's an audit of your verbal and visual message. Our clients tend to find this one very, very illuminating. Everything from the ask phase informs the build phase, and this is where we build your messaging framework. We really dive into what change you want to see in the world, how you want to connect with your audience, what that audience needs and what they want to feel, and what you do specifically to meet those needs and wants. And finally, that leads us to the connect phase. And this is where we connect that messaging framework to your real world needs. This can include anything from a simple 1-sentence description, an elevator pitch, new website copy, or even a new website, updated logo, or a visual identity, like some of the ones you see on the right. That's it. That is our approach to messaging and branding, our philosophy. And I would love to learn more about your brand and its current state. So why don't you get in touch? Go ahead and use the Contact Us button up there and set up a time to meet. I would love to hear more and, of course, answer any questions that you have. In the meantime, thanks again and have a great day.